Have you ever had a conversation with your partner about who should play the left and who should play the right? Do either of you really even know how to play the left? If you're not sure, then this video is for you. We're going to analyze a handful of points where Ben John is playing his signature dominant left side style and tease out the 5 critical abilities you need to play that style well. We'll draw mostly from mixed doubles, but it's going to apply to gender doubles as well. It's just more exaggerated and mixed, so it's easier to show the lessons. We'll walk through how he plays the left, why he plays it that way, and what you need to be able to do in order to make it worth it for you to even try it. Otherwise, you're probably best off playing 50-50. But the amazing thing is once you see these tactics, it's actually not that hard. A lot of people could play this style. Like, you don't need to be able to hit this shot.
Wow. Ben John's on.
Even though it's really cool. But first, what is even the advantage of playing this dominant left side style? Let's take this point as an example. As they're playing the point, I want you to focus on Ben's feet. Look how he keeps recovering back to the middle of the court. He's looking for an opportunity to come across and apply pressure. And after every shot, he's moving back to the middle. And here, Anna thought she might be able to catch him off guard by attacking behind him, but he's sitting there waiting and just able to counter it back down. Later on in the video, we're going to see examples of where he's actually able to take advantage of his position in the middle of the court and attack his opponents. But as you can see, it's pretty scary. He's just constantly coming back to the middle, hovering, applying pressure, and making the court feel really small for his opponents. So let's get into what you need to be able to do in order to try and replicate his style. And by the way, if you're a lefty, just reverse it. Sometimes you can play a dominant right side style. Like in women's, this sometimes happens. Like Anna Leigh used to play a big right side style. It's not so much about the left or the right. It's more about playing dominant and trying to take the middle of the court. The first thing you need to be able to do is you need to be able to beat your opponents on backhand dinks, or if you're on the other side, cross-court dinks. Playing this dominant style is all about applying pressure to your opponents and making the court feel really small, like they don't have very many safe options to hit the ball. Because you're going to be recovering back to the middle of the court, you're leaving your side pretty wide open. So the natural instinct is going to be for your opponents to try to go behind you and hit to that open court. If they're able to just keep going back to that open court, cross court, putting you into a backhand dink rally, then they'll just do that. Unless you're at the advantage when they try to use that strategy. And that's the case with Ben John. There's basically nobody on the tour that would ever think that they could win with the strategy of just dinking cross court with Ben John. Not only is he incredibly consistent on that dink, he applies a lot of pressure with the way that he dinks. And if you make even the slightest error, he's going to be able to attack that ball down the line at your partner and start a hands battle that he's usually going to win. By the way, this means you need to be an offensive threat out wide as well. So yeah, the Ben John's backhand roll, but also if they're trying to hit you, take you really wide, you might have opportunities to hit Ernies, ATPs, all that good stuff. Those aren't mandatory. You don't need to really have those mastered in order to play this. The real thing that you do need to have though is you can't be a liability sitting in that cross-court dink. If you're not really strong in that pattern, you're not going to be effective in this kind of dominant Ben John's style. So if you can't do that reliably, you're going to need to drill more. Do 3-person kitchen drills where you're on the side that you want to play and you're on your own. You have your 2 drilling partners on the other side and just win points dinking. Second, you need to be able to punish attackable balls that come through the middle of the court. Now, the entire point of playing big is that you're sucking up all of the space in the middle of the court so that you can pluck balls out of the air that come across a little bit too high as your opponents are dinking. Here's what a point looks like where Ben is able to do that. Look at him looking for opportunities to sit in the middle of the court and play big. And there you go. He finds Anna trying to hit a standard forehand dink to the inside foot of Anna Leigh, but it just is a little bit too high and a little bit too close to Ben. And Ben's able to reach. Let's even see like where he makes contact here. That ball is under the net. It's not even that bad of a dink, but he is so aggressively hunting for a ball that he can pluck out of the air and speed up that he gets it. And look how far Anna Bright is behind the line. It still catches her off guard and he tags her. It's a great shot. So you need to be able to recognize which balls are attackable and capitalize on the mistakes that your opponents are making. And not only that, be prepared for the ensuing hands battle and win them. It's actually harder to attack balls from the middle because you have both players staring at you and you don't have a lot of angles. They can both cover the middle, and then if you go out wide, you have to go through them. So it's a lot easier to be attacking from the lines, which makes it more important that you're choosing the right opportunities and setting up promising hands battles for your team. Here's another point. Let's take a look. So again, the entire point, Ben is just hugging the middle of the court. Every ball, he's recovering right back to the middle of the court. And then James hits a dink that's just, he's trying to get back to Annalie's inside foot again. And it's just not quite good enough. Ben takes one big step and he attacks it. But look how far he's reaching. It's kind of hard to see, but I think he's almost 3/4 of the way across. Because look where Annalie is planning to hit that dink. She is really far over to the right. Because Ben has been sitting ready in the middle, all it takes is one small step, one big reach, and he's able to catch James. Which is difficult to do because James has incredible hands. So if you don't do a good job of this, if you don't do a good job of capitalizing on those opportunities that come through the middle and attack them, then there's really no point in you playing this style because your opponents are just going to feel safe sending balls through the middle, hitting the dinks that they want because they know you're not going to reach in and do anything. Okay, this one is really, really important and probably one of the things that players underinvest in when they start playing mixed doubles, when men start playing mixed doubles or they start trying to play the left. When you're playing dominant, you're trying to be sitting in the middle, applying pressure, but you're exposing the entire left side of you. And even if you have amazing dinks cross court, and if you just sat there and dinked, you would beat your opponent, which was the first ability. You need to be able to reset push dinks that are taking you way out of position. So like, say you've recovered to the middle, they hit the ball behind you. You need to be able to get to that ball and then reset the point and not make an error by either missing or popping up that ball. And this is a very, very difficult shot. All right, we're gonna take a look at this point. Okay, so even here, just look at where Ben is. He's 1 foot over onto the right side of the court. And Anna Bright hits an awesome dink that makes Ben scramble all the way over to the sideline. And he's going to hit very soft, gentle reset back to the middle of the court, where James has no option but to just continue that dink rally. So good. It looks effortless from Ben, but it is a very difficult shot. And to me, one of the hardest things about that shot is being very slow and methodical when you hit that dink. He looks effortless. He's just like, this is just another dink. But when you watch his footwork as he's getting to that, look how much he's scrambling. This is like an explosive couple of steps there. But then once he gets in position, look how slowly and methodically he's resetting that dink. So good. And that's not the only way to reset that dink. I would say the way he did that is scrambling back and patiently guiding that ball to the direction that he wants it. Very soft, standard dink, but maybe a little slower and softer. There's another way to do it where you catch the ball right when it bounces on the rise and just kind of bunt it back over the net. So and this is a difficult dink, but I see Ben hitting it all the time, and he hit an absolutely insane one in this match. So watch this. James gets a floating fourth, I think it is, because Ben's still coming in, and James has this crazy two-handed backhand dink, so he's going to hit a sharp, high-paced push dink. It's pushing Ben out wide, and look how deep that ball is. And Ben just grabs it right as it bounces and resets it just out of reach of Anna's ATP, or Anna's Ernie, which is a great move by her. And look where it bounces. James can't take it out of the air. And they're back to neutral. Just unbelievable ball there. And that just comes with a lot of reps of recognizing that you're in a compromised position, that your opponents have hit a really good shot behind you, and knowing that the only thing you're focused on here is getting back to neutral, whether that means catching it on the rise and just guiding it back over the net, or scrambling back, getting set up with your feet, and then hitting a regular dink, but just like a little behind you, a little slower, guiding it over. Here is another point where right away you can see that Anna Bright hits a great push dink behind Ben to start it off. And if you're not watching carefully, you're going to miss this. Because he hits it so effortlessly, you're like, this is just a normal shot. Look how far back Anna's dink has pushed Ben. He's hitting it in the middle of the transition zone. He's making contact there. Look at that. Crazy. And he's hitting a reset dink cross court perfectly to James, and James can't do anything with it. He can't hit it out of the air. He just has to go into a cross court dink, and James makes the mistake. Ben's able to pluck it out of the air, start a hands battle, and boom, points over. I can't emphasize enough how difficult that shot is. Anna Bright hit an incredible ball here. She caught Ben totally out of position here. Because look how far up Ben is when the ball crosses the net. He's basically at the kitchen, and she pushes him so far back. And he's able to reset it, find the opportunity, win the point. So good. This, I think, is something to really practice if you want to play high-level mixed doubles or play dominant left side style. You may start having like pretty good success playing rack or something, because a lot of players aren't going to be used to somebody playing so big, and that's going to win you a lot of points. But once you start playing with better players, especially in mixed, especially when your female opponent is really confident at the kitchen and confident in going behind you, you're going to struggle a lot. I struggled a lot. And so this is something I'm working on a lot right now, is recognizing when I'm going to get pushed back and having the patience and the confidence and the calm to, reset these balls the way that Ben is resetting them. Next up, you need to be able to hit really good counters. And not just normal counters on your line, but counters from the middle of the court. Playing big is all about taking away options from your opponent and making them feel squeezed, which means that you can't allow your opponents to feel like they can just speed it up at your body and get away with it. Because if they find success there, they're just going to go at you over and over and over again. You stop being a threat and you just become a target. And countering from the middle is actually more difficult than countering from the line, because it's less obvious which wing you're going to be hitting from, and it's less obvious which direction you're going to be sliding to. Let's watch a point. In this point, Ben resets a dink that's kind of dead to the middle, and James looks for an opportunity to speed it up down the middle. So look where Ben is ready right now. He's sitting kind of neutral but leaning forehand, and the reason is he knows it's going to be difficult for James to speed up that ball inside out to his backhand. So he knows that it's more important for him to be covering the middle. Plus, Leigh is going to need to watch her line, because there's a chance that James would be able to rip that cross court to Leig's hip. So because of that, he's anticipating it more on the middle. And then once he sees it's there, really compact stroke, catches it kind of behind him, because James hit an awesome shot. Hits a pretty good counter, but James is set up there. Lucky, honestly. Lucky. I think that James probably should have won that point, and he's disappointed. Look at him. To even have a chance in that exchange just is a testament to the level of Ben's counters. This is probably the second hardest thing to do here, with maybe the first hardest thing to do resetting those dinks that get behind you. And the best way to avoid this is to keep your dinks unattackable. And then the second best way is to develop amazing hands. Now let's watch this. This is kind of fun. These are my friends Roscoe and Jack playing against the Johns brothers at the BioFreeze Nationals, actually. And they got smoked in the first 2 games, and they actually end up winning this 3rd game. And part of it is they just start going at Ben. And you'll see this. This is a 4th shot. And Roscoe hits a very unconventional speed up here.
Confidence level here.
Where he just blasts the 2-hander cross court to Ben. Ben is sitting forehand, because what kind of psycho speeds up this ball like this? And they catch him a little off guard. They win the point. And they kept doing this. They did this like 4 or 5 times in that game. This can work against Ben on an off game. And if you're not as good as Ben, it might work even more. So just be prepared. If you're going to be playing that big, make sure that you're prepared and able to punish low percentage speed ups that come at you. And finally, and most important, you need to have amazing communication with your partner, both on and off the court. When you're on the court, when you're the dominant player, it is your job to say yours, mine, watch. All of that kind of communication, that's you. You're the team leader. Because since you're looking to take up most of the court, hit most of the balls, you need to be telling your partner what to expect from you. And then when you're not in the middle of points, you need to be guiding the conversation on what kind of adjustments and clarifications need to be made about whose ball is whose and what you should expect from me, what I'm expecting from you, what the game plan is, so on and so forth. This is really, really important. Nothing causes more friction in pickleball partnerships than miscommunications about whose ball is whose. And because you're the one that's wanting to play big, it is your responsibility to make sure that communication is good. Now, even if you're really amazing at playing dominant, you've really mastered this left side strategy, it's working for you, it's not going to matter if you don't get any balls. If your opponents are fully icing you out and it's working, none of these things are really going to matter. Luckily, I made a video on just this topic dissecting a bunch of points where Ben Johns gets iced out super hard in Major League Pickleball. Watch that here.